To all my earthbound beings, here we go with part two of Protect Your Crown, The Awakening. So, where I left off in the first part was telling you about the first day where my third eye opened, and it opened in the middle of a work day. That was scary all on its own, but that's nothing compared to all of the things that have been revealed and have unraveled in not only my interior, but also the exterior world that we are in. Right now, we're in a time where we're looking at wars and rumors of wars. But I do find it very intriguing that my awakening in January of 2020 came just before, the CV-19 shutdown. So let's continue. As I was saying with the awakening back in January of 2020, I had scheduled Thursday, Friday off. We were already off Saturday and Sunday because I did not work weekends. And then I also had to schedule Monday off because what I went through was the dark night of the soul. With the opening of my third eye, which I did nothing in particular other than pray. I prayed, prayed, prayed. At this time, I was praying, constantly seeking deliverance from all of those things that no longer supported my higher self, my highest good, and more importantly, things that were displeasing to my God, to my Father, to my heavenly Father. So those were the things that I was seeking deliverance from, and this was the beginning. So I can only equate the feeling of what I went through to being buried. Being buried alive is exactly what it felt like. And so when my eye was open, you know, when I became aware and awakening or awakened, I'm sorry. When I became aware and awakened, why can I not say that? So it felt like the Most High reached down, and as a matter of fact, this was one of the visions that I saw. But it was like the arm of God reached down into the lowest, to the deepest depths of the earth and pulled me up by my collar, my shirt collar, out of the depths of the dirt, of the filth, of the just vile excrements of this earth. And that's what I was covered with. So when he pulled me out, I had to wash, clean myself every aspect of my life. This translated into even, me going around my house, and I repainted everything. I did all white. It was like everything had to be scrubbed clean because I was covered in so much filth. And that is significant all on its own. But anyway, so that Wednesday, when the awakening first happened, and I went home, that evening, I'm praying and I'm seeking answers to what is happening. And as I'm in my room praying and seeking answers, I get a flash. And the flash is like my entire life. It was almost like I had a crystal ball. And in this crystal ball, I could see every single aspect of my past that was my life. It was like me flashing before me. And it was just so dark. But, I had to pray and cry out because it the experience was extremely intense. And so I only have one child, and my son was living in the house with me at that time. And really, I tried to stay hidden in my room because I didn't understand what I was going through. And that whole weekend, I looked like I was going through hell. And I would notice that his look on his face was like, what's happening with you or whatever, but I couldn't tell him. I didn't know at that time. I just knew I was going through something very, very intense. And so fast forward, the awakening happened in January, late January. So February, throughout the month of February, I go through trying to catch my balance, and because my whole environment looked different. But this is when God started speaking to me. I started hearing the Holy Spirit tell me things that I needed to do. It was like the Holy Spirit decided to walk hand in hand with me, alongside of me, to help me through what I was about to experience even further. So, going to work with now this newly opened eye, and everything around me looked different. People looked different. It was almost as if I was one with everything, every being, nature, people, everything around me. I could sense what they were about to say before they would say it. And everything was magnified. So in the beginning, the stages were scary. And then fast forward to March, we had the CV-19 shutdown. Now, how my awakening is tied to the CV-19 shutdown is, it's got everything to do with today's war in the Middle East. Quote unquote, the war in the Middle East, which is just theatrics. So continuing in this awakening, I was able to see beings. There were beings that seemed to dwell with me. I don't see them as much as I saw them at first, but I can hear them now. I know that they are here. I could just hear them, not so much see them. But there were beings that dwelt with me because my protection needed to be extremely heavy during that time, while I was walking through being uncovered from the excrements of this earth. The To find out, that your soul has a contract when you come here to this earthly realm, but there are individuals or groups that seek to interfere or intervene with your soul's contract. So there are beings that actually intervene with your soul's contract to make it their own. But there are also beings that seek to not only make your contract their own, and the person who's taking your contract or intervene with your contract to make all of them theirs. So hence the reason the 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 reason that the world has been able to explode in technology and all of these things that create wealth and riches on this earth. Basically, they're all tied to the blood of the saints or soul contracts. So here we are in a day where OpenAI seeks to create robot technology. It equates to transferring human consciousness into a robot, something they can control, because they don't want you to have control of your own consciousness. So the kings of the earth here seem to be being crowned in this hour, but they're crowned in this hour because they're taking someone else's crown. Needless to say, that is an entire, the subject of that gets very, very deep all on its own. But moving forward with my awakening, I realized that self-love was first and foremost important. Not knowing who you are, not knowing why you are, not knowing whose you are, seeking purpose, seeking validation in this life. You tend to seek your validation in the wrong places, and you become vulnerable to uh, piracy, to soul piracy. So I just wanted to kind of share a little bit about my awakening here. Um, it's it's crazy, guys. It's really crazy, and the entire story itself is just um, it's wild. It's a wild ride. So just know, in this day, in this time, in this hour, it is important to cleanse, cleanse, cleanse. Cleanse your energy. Cleanse your energy before you go to sleep. Cleanse your energy when you wake. Talk to the Most High. Say your prayers. Ask for protection of the highest white light so that your warrior angels can be dispatched to encamp about you and keep you safe from hurt, harm, and danger, because it is rampant in this hour right now. So, because they no longer have a food source, um, a permanent food source right now, because their permanent food source, their staple, their cornerstone food source has awakened. So they really don't have a stable, steady food source right now, and they are struggling. They are running to try and find one. So beware of soul contracts and traps so that you do not get yourself um, locked in the bottomless pit that is where the Loch Ness monster, so to speak, resides. Part 3 coming up.